Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not an actual therapist, but I play one on the internet for this show. And today I have a special, not guest, but I would say a special patient. And that patient is John Humphrey from The Real Rejects.
I want to make a quick entrance.
It is that was a quick, swift entrance.
Just like one of those when you watch somebody like throw a hat onto someone else's head.
I don't think I have watched that.
I saw a video just yesterday, in fact, where like when people have like really specific talents. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
There
you're
we go.
good.
There, I saw a video of 4 dudes who are really great at throwing hats onto each other's
Okay.
heads,
Whoa.
and that's what the internet is
Maybe
for.
that'll be the new thing. You know how they do like the water bottle trick shots that
Yeah.
people are totally into. Maybe
Mhm.
next is like throwing hats.
It was insane because they were like throwing them from all different sides of the room and like
Mhm.
landing them on each other's heads, and sometimes they would land a few on top of each other. Like,
whoa!
it was-
And then it's the story caps for sale, and then there's monkeys and trees. Guys, if you haven't read Caps for Sale, you're probably not 5 years old. But
I
it's a
was
great
5 years old
story.
once.
You probably read it then.
Actually, 365 times I was 5 years old.
Whoa!
Actually, no, but then I was only
364.
364. He's got 3 fingers.
So, John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is John Humphrey. I am co-founder of The Real Rejects that Greg Alba and I started, which is just, it's kind of like starting a band. I once heard somebody describe starting a band as like hanging out with your friends, but with more to show for it. And that's sort of exactly what our channel is sort of,
Starting a band.
us hanging out.
You guys are the guys in Sing Street.
I adore, I considered using that movie for
Really?
some of these questions.
For
Yeah.
inspirational? Because it is inspirational.
It is, yeah. And music is one of my very favorite things in life. So, and a friend recommended me that movie, and she was like, "Go see this. It's your movie. Like, it's
Aw.
one of those movies."
Yeah.
And it was. I adored that movie. But yeah, my name is John. I am a aspiring jack of trades. Real Rejects. I also work for Blumhouse.com. I'm a big horror fan. I'm a part-time haunted house guy.
Oh, nice.
I work up at Universal sometimes.
You scare people.
Yeah, whenever anybody asks me to tell, yeah, I do sometimes. Whenever anybody asks me to tell them about me, I'm always like, where do I begin?
Yes,
what's
that's
not
everyone.
boring to talk about?
Well, you grew up in Los Angeles.
Yes.
What part of Los Angeles did you grow up in?
Studio City.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up.
Oh.
Born and raised. Yeah, no, I'm sort of like I realized just recently, I'm sort of like a small town kid from a big city, because I've lived kind of the same area all of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, from the valley.
I like the valley. I miss the valley. I lived in Burbank for 5 years. Loved it. Loved it. Moved out here to they call it the South Bay.
Ooh.
It took a long time to finally like it, but I do now.
What was the clincher? Like, what won you over?
Probably buying a house. Like, we own this home.
Oh, nice.
And I think that was kind of like all right, I feel like I can breathe and like actually maybe, I don't know, put this home together or something, be that sort of like, I have a purpose.
Yeah.
My purpose is to put this house together and
there's
to
the
be
thing
this
about-
mom and to be this wife. And oh dear.
Well, there's the thing about laying down roots any place where you kind of, I imagine you kind of look around in a different way. Like, this is a different part of town, and so like now that you're here and
Right.
you're gonna be here for a minute, yeah, you can sort of learn just
Right.
the flow of the city.
Yeah, it
the
just
South
don't feel
Bay.
like we're trying to go anywhere, or like what's the next place we're gonna rent because like this rent is too high, or like those
damn
sorts of
high.
things. It's always too high. It's never
Especially in
reasonable.
this part of the world.
Yes, now that Silicon Beach is on its way in, it has gotten a lot higher.
Is that near Silicon Valley?
No,
Is
it's
Silicon
here.
Beach
It's
a
here.
thing?
Silicon Beach is in the Marina Del Rey area. That's what they call it now.
Marina Del Rey, where I had my
Yeah.
back surgery. Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
So I'm just
Fun
gonna dig
times in the
in
Del Rey.
as deep as possible. Hey, you know what, man? It was nice though.
Yeah.
It was the first time in so many years that I felt like a kid again because just
Mm.
everyone's taking care of you for a hot minute. You know,
Interesting.
you're always kept warm. I've noticed.
Vitals
So
are being taken often.
yeah.
Was that at Carol and Job?
No, it was at the Marina Spine Center. It's this
Oh.
big
Oh,
white
wow.
building that looks exactly like the white building next to it.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's right across. It's right kind of adjacent to the actual Marina Del Rey Hospital, I believe,
Okay.
because that's where I had the actual surgery part.
Mhm.
Was
How long
across
ago
the
was
street.
that?
October of last year.
Wow.
Yeah. This I found out. In fact, it was October the 1st. It was my friend's birthday, and I found out I needed surgery on the first day of a very physical job.
Wow.
Like the morning we were supposed to have our opening night at Universal, I had to go to the doctor, and they were like, "Dude, you need this taken care of immediately."
Wow.
Yeah, like stop physical therapy, stop what you're doing. This is a problem. So,
but I'm glad you got it fixed.
yeah,
And how do you feel now?
Much better. I got to do a better job of maintaining it, but it's night and day because it's at least for me. I had a herniated disc that was like crushing all of the nerves that go down my left leg, and the best descriptor I've found is like imagine having a rock in your shoe, but your shoe is your body, and you can't move it, and it. Sometimes you'll have these spasms where you just can't move or breathe or anything because just pain.
Wow.
So yeah, it's much better. In fact, I remember the first time the doctor sat me down and extended my leg while I was sitting down and nothing happened. I just felt like a normal leg. I was like, this is amazing.
That's awesome. Let's get into how the show works. And I want to say hey to Randall Sands because thanks for being here. I see you in the chat as I always do. And I am thankful for your patronage, which is not really patronage. I consider it patronage of viewing. How about that?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Hey, eyeballs keep it going.
Eyeballs keep the lights on. So this is a storytelling show where I ask each patient the same 3 questions. What is a movie that inspires you? What is a movie or scene from a movie that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, perhaps it's a happy memory. And what is a movie that helps you through difficult times? Started this show because I do suffer from depression, and I find that movies help me through that depression. And I want to remind anyone out there that if you are having a problem right now and you feel that you need help, please call your doctor. Please go to the hospital. Please call 911. Anything that you need to do to get the help that you can get it now, please do that. Thank you. All right. So let's begin.
Okay.
This is where the session starts. I'm going to.
This is where NPR.
Yes, we are
kicks
on
in.
NPR, and I'm going to start the clock for this one out. No, I'm just kidding. Which luckily my therapist doesn't like start any sort of clock, but I know she has them close by.
There's one on the wall, and I try
Yeah.
never to look at it.
Right?
Because therapy sessions are too short. Like, and I
Mhm.
guess that's good. I guess when you finally get to the point where you know how to be in therapy, and you're like, you know, an hour feels like not much time.
Right.
You know, you just
Some
get into the
days,
meat.
though, I'm like, are we still here? And other days, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, that wasn't enough. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is a movie that inspires you?
I gotta say, I deliberated over all these questions because
Yes,
there are
as
so
you should.
many possible answers. And I didn't know whether to go with something recent or something not recent. But one movie that inspired me recently, that I thought in a very like particular lifey kind of way was Swiss Army Man.
Okay. I did not see Swiss Army Man. I know what it's about.
Yeah.
But for those that don't,
You
go ahead
do,
and let
but
us
you
know.
don't, because
I
like
probably don't.
because the thing is that that movie was one I saw. You know, I'm a depressed person as well. I go through like depression and anxiety, especially for me, and that was a movie that it's this guy finds a corpse on a beach. He's like stranded on a beach, and he finds this corpse, and this corpse basically becomes like this weird multi-tool, and they go on a life affirming adventure, you know, trying to find their way back to civilization. Is like the nutshell of the plot. But that movie is so unlike anything else I'd ever seen. Like it's quirky. I like movies
Yeah.
about like kind of sad, lonely people. Like the
Mhm.
stuff that sticks to my ribs is always that stuff. Like the stuff that speaks to me or that I get really engrossed in
Mhm.
are movies like that. And so you have this guy, like the first scene is this guy trying to hang himself, and
Mm.
then he finds this body. And not to be like dark, yeah, but just like it
It's Found Wilson, like in
yeah,
Castaway.
yeah,
This
exactly.
is Castaway meets Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
That's a good way to put that.
All right,
But
good.
but just like with a heap ton more like strange whimsy.
Okay.
Um and so I don't know, like it was inspiring to me partly because I just hadn't seen a movie like that before. And that's always nice. When especially
Mhm.
nowadays and especially, doing the Real Reject stuff, we watch a lot of
The
you know
same trailers over
the
and over and
same
over again.
and
They're
they
called superhero movies.
are the same trailer after a while. Like there are 3
Mhm.
molds at any given time. Uh,
Yes.
but Swiss Army Man, yeah, was inspiring to me. Just because me and Greg, we both want to make movies. We both want to create stuff, and that was
Mhm.
like, wow, this is something else I didn't realize a film could be now. In that
Mm.
it's very contemplative of life and the way we behave around each other. Because this is a guy who's alone with a corpse, and half the time you're sort of wondering, like, is this thing really alive, or is this an elaborate hallucination of some kind? Is this a
Huh.
weird
Oh, there
dream?
you go. Okay. Yes.
um
Always the fever dream. If you ever
yeah,
listen to How Did This Get Made, which is a great podcast, which I'm not on, but Paul
one
Shear
day.
is on, as well as June Diane Raphael and I can't Zook. I can't remember his first
Zook.
name now. What is his name?
I
Jason Mantzoukas. There we
There
go.
you go.
There it is. They do this
Oh,
show.
he's
It is
funny.
hilarious. And where was I going with this? I don't remember, but I love it. But they say those same sort of things. Like
Mhm.
I forgot where I was going with that, but
It's all right.
whatever.
No worries.
Because I was trying to figure out Jason's name, and I apologize.
Yeah, but
If it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
I'm gonna be waiting for this
Okay, great.
information the whole time. In fact, it's gonna come to you like 10 minutes after we
Yep.
wrap this up.
Mhm. Hate when I lose my train of thought like that.
It's all good. Hey, that happens to me, especially on camera. That happens
Yeah,
to me,
especially when it's live.
and I way beat myself up over it. But yeah, no, that movie was cool because it was very affecting and very touching as well. Like
Mhm.
I cried during that movie. I've gotten into crying.
I figured it out.
What?
They always go with this must be a fever dream in the movies that
Yeah.
they watch because they watch terrible movies and then they rip them apart.
It is an easy thing to
Yeah.
hide nonsense in.
Yeah.
Like,
So could be
fever
a fever
dream.
dream, right? And Swiss Army Man.
It could be, yeah. And you see, I like movies and shows or whatever that introduce you to characters in one context, and then over the course of the movie you learn more about who they really are. So it's like, because anytime you meet a character and observe them in one situation, you start to form an opinion about who they are. And then by the end of it, especially in this movie, a lot of movies now, you don't really change your feelings about your protagonists all that much. Even as much as we love our anti-heroes now, we still know they got a heart of gold at the end of the day. And this was sort of like, I watched this movie and you're along with on this sort of whimsical, lonely adventure where he's teaching this corpse about life. Like a guy who just tried to not be alive is now teaching this seemingly living corpse about life. And it addresses taboos and these awkward things we're uncomfortable about, and like social graces and just like these weird little things in this strange little movie, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. So that was a movie that like both touched me as a human and also inspired me to go out and make a movie, because I don't see not everything I see makes me want to do that. Like I saw La La Land recently, and that made me want to make something.
I want to see that. I will see that, but I just don't know when, because it's not close by here. I'd have to go like to the Cinerama Dome, and that's far from where I am right now.
Yeah.
But I know it opens wide, I think, this week.
Okay, yeah, I was confused.
Maybe.
I was like, I took a retreat day and I went and saw it, because I'll do that actually, because the movies I really want to see the most are often the ones I go to alone.
Yeah.
Because I like that, actually. I like that experience of just it's me and the movie, and even if there are people around, I still feel like it's just me bonding with something on screen.
I was almost the only person watching The Witch
Oh,
Oh man.
movie
And I was like,
too.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad there's other people here because I would have been like,
Yeah.
oh, but it was like two other guys.
So much dread.
So
Just
much.
dread
I was just
central.
thinking, is it Swiss Army Man or Swiss Army Men?
Man.
Okay.
Because
And
Daniel Radcliffe is
is the
arguably the
Swiss Army
Swiss
knife
Army man.
slash Swiss Army Man because there's lots of different tools in the Swiss Army knife,
Mhm.
and he uses him in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah.
Is what I'm.
Yes. Yeah, it's both literally and figuratively and everything in between.
I gotta see it.
It's a very weird movie.
I'm going to look and see where it is streaming. I'm sure it is streaming at this time somewhere.
Mhm.
I mean, even if I have to pay $3 to rent it. But I was talking about this with someone recently, someone that's not really into film. His name's Colin Moriarty, and he was saying
Moriarty.
like that guy. He was just saying how Hollywood has run out of ideas, and all they really do is keep cranking out the machine, like with Star Wars. And I was
Mhm.
like, it's not that Hollywood's out of ideas; it's that
Yeah.
you just don't know where to look for the ideas.
That's what I find myself saying about a ton of things now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's absolutely true.
And it's because most of the movies that were presented are just whatever's mainstream. Like
Yeah.
whatever's in your local theater, you're going to see the ads for that. You're going to see them on the YouTube ads. You're going to see them everywhere.
It's
You're
the
going to
stuff you
hear
don't have to
them.
look for.
Yeah, it's the stuff you have to look for the original ideas, and that's where indie movies come in, and that's where this movie comes in.
Yeah.
And so, if you are one of those people that are like, I feel like Hollywood doesn't have any ideas. I mean, I could recommend a ton of movies just this year. This year was
Yeah.
the best year for indie films in a long time.
It's terrific. And especially I'm a horror movie guy, and the indie horror this year has been tremendous.
Yeah.
Like they're between like The Invitation and Green Room and
The
The Witch and
Invitation. That like really snuck up on me.
I saw that movie 2 days in a row. I
Huh.
went to Vidiot's in Santa Monica. I'd never been there before. It's the place that
Yep.
Annapurna like resurrected. And they have a little screening room in the back. And the first day they did a screening with a Q&A with Karin Kusama and Phil Hay, writer and director. And then the second day I went back because they had a double feature of The Invitation and Cheap Thrills.
Oh, that is a terrible double feature.
It was
That's like the worst double feature. I saw Cheap Thrills for the first time like a few months ago. I was like, why did we do this, guys? Why did I have to do this? It was for 6 Degrees, and I was like, no.
That's one of those like take a shower movies. Like
Yeah, it was oh God.
I don't know how to describe my feelings toward it. Like I want to say like, wow, I really like that movie, but I don't, but I do, but I don't, because that's another one of those like, oh, weird, ugly, interesting.
Yes.
Like,
Ethan Embry too. Like I
Yeah?
just remember him from like Empire Records and like Can't Hardly Wait. And then I'm like, oh my God, he's a man.
yeah, I didn't
He's
even
kind of good
recognize him at
looking, but
first.
then the character is so terrible that you're like, okay, no,
Oh
no,
yeah,
get away.
and Pat Healy. I mean, like,
Oh my God.
I love watching that man do
Mhm.
anything, and his arc being coming from being like the timid do-gooder to just being like, I'm gonna do whatever I have to,
Yeah.
is like, I like watching.
Oof,
There's something I
rough.
always find valuable about that kind of movie, even if it's
Mhm.
ugly, is like, this is about what people do in situations and not just about like, oh, here's the
Yeah.
plot,
Right.
So I'm a characters
Um,
guy.
So if you are the type that's like, I want to see original things, follow IndieWire. They definitely will like
IndieWire's great.
guide you to where you should be.
Yeah.
Also follow Alicia Malone. She usually tweets out her favorite indie picks of the week.
I am
That's where I
going to
get all
follow
those.
her when we're done here.
There you go. She's great. She's great. Let's get to our second question.
Okay. A film that triggers a memory for me.
Yes. Oh,
is
thank you for
actually-
saying it.
Yeah, no problem.
For me.
I thought about this hard. I'm gonna go with this time with a film called The Way Way Back from
Okay.
2013.
Didn't see it, but I heard good things.
It was one of the films written by Jim Rash and Nat Faxon, and they've done a lot of things lately, and their writing projects seem to they're really good writers. I think they were Oscar nominated for one of their other things, and I for the life of me cannot remember now. But The Way Way Back, yeah, is like a coming of age movie, and I saw it. It's got Toni Collette and Steve Carell. I forget the boy's name who's the lead, but it's kind of about they take Toni Collette's like a single mother and she's got this boyfriend who's Steve Carell, and they go and they stay out at this like vacation destination. Like they've got
Okay.
like a house,
Like a
out on the beach
sandals?
somewhere. Not quite, not a resort. Like they've
Okay.
got like a shack someplace with friends who they meet at
Okay.
this time of year.
Mhm.
And the kid doesn't really want to be on this trip and really like Steve Carell. They don't relate, and it's one of those summer coming of age stories. He gets a job at this water park that's run by Sam Rockwell and learns to be a human being and take charge. But it was I watched it at a very specific time in my life where I had just had like a massively significant heartbreak. And it was the
Mhm.
first movie in a century that I walked out of and then immediately went back in to see again
Oh.
because I was like a weepy mess. So it was. I think it's a really good movie, but I think it was also just the right time
Yeah.
to see it because it's again I relate to like lonely characters, and that's that kind of thing, because that's a struggle.
I mean, is it a sad movie just in general, or just certain parts of it just reflect so much of what you were going through that you were like, okay.
I would go with I wouldn't call it sad, but I'm gonna go with an adjective I've come to quite like lately, which is heart heavy.
Mm.
Like it's still
Mhm.
funny, it's still fun because Jim Rash and Nat Faxon, like they have a lot of history with comedy, and there is always a humor that they bring to it, and there's a lot of comedic chemistry, and especially the Sam Rockwell character is like upbeat and sort of bohemian, so there is a lot of humor in it, but it is the
Yeah.
drama is there, and yeah, it's sort of that's a through line that kind of affects all the art that I love the most is a sort of heart heavy quality, and that movie really had it for me in a sort of real and relatable way,
Mhm.
because those are my favorite shades to work in, and those have always been the things that have sort of stood out to me about life,
Mhm.
because I know of all the emotional spectrum, I know sad the best, so like
So
everything
do I.
everything kind of filters through sad in
Mhm.
in a way that I can like really grab onto it, so like those notes always pique my interest very very heavily.
Mm.
So that's a movie that like really takes me back to a specific time and place, and I can't like watch it all the time, and I can probably enjoy it, but I don't think I'll
Mhm.
ever watch it and not remember that day and
Yeah.
what I was feeling like, because that was like one of the that may have been the worst time of my adult life was like the
Mm.
summer of 2013.
Was that like a and if you don't want to answer, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Was that like a relationship heartbreak? Was that a family heartbreak that
The
was
main
reflected?
the main kicker was sort of a relationship heartbreak thing, but that was at a time where I imagine everybody comes to it like a crossroad at some point where just kind of like every major corner of your life has a hole punched in it. It's like,
Mhm.
at the time I was in school, so it was like school is not going well, work isn't going well, I don't have much money. I'm feeling progressively worse. I'm back in therapy, and now, this romance I thought would never pan out could have panned out and didn't, and like,
Mm.
and yeah, it
That's
just
always hard.
yeah, that was one of those things where you're under one impression for so long, and then you find out what's really going on, and then
It's too late.
yeah, you just kind of fall apart, like that scene in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, where they're dancing?
No, I
Oh.
love that. I am forever a douche Peter supporter. I love
Yeah.
that sequence with the jazz. No, the scene. This is a similar answer to that question. The scene in Spider-Man 3 where Sandman is in the pit and he's trying to grab the ring and he just keeps falling apart
Mhm.
and keeps deteriorating and disintegrating like that. It's that,
Yeah.
it's that like I can't.
Almost there
Yeah,
and not going to get it.
just keep trying and you keep.
It's like at a horse race where they're going after that rabbit. They're not going to get it.
Yeah.
I don't
Ever.
even know if they're really actually going after that horse or after that rabbit, but hey, we'll pretend.
And then when you
It's all
catch it,
for
it's
show.
it's made of like polymers and metal and
And you're like,
lead
what?
paint.
What is this? It's
Yeah,
not organic.
that was one of those. And this was a hard one to answer because I have similar stories about different movies, but that was also like just as a film fan talking about like film therapy, like
Mhm.
that was a cool. It just felt like the right thing to do. I just walked out and stood there for a second, looked at the
Waited for
poster,
them to clean up.
and then I just walked right back in and was like, I can wait 20 minutes. I'll get another ticket. And like I
Yeah.
spent the day bonding with a movie, and that was
Wow.
really
like
that was
that.
helpful. Like, and especially during a stretch of months where not much was helpful, and I wasn't eating very much, and I wasn't really talking to anybody, and I just sort of spent my days drifting, wanting to disappear.
Mhm.
Like that was a day that I really bonded to a movie, and so that's always stood out as like an important, time and place movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, anytime I hear the way back, I think Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
That's
that
right, Mr. Peabody. Quiet, you. Oh yeah.
My kids love that movie, so
I haven't seen. Is it good? How's the movie?
it's actually pretty
They're
cute.
not here, so you
They're
can.
not here. It's a little more PG. Like I probably should have waited till
Okay.
probably about the age they are now, which is 4 and 6.
Okay.
But I showed it to them last year, and so they weren't quite ready because you need both of them to be ready in
Yeah.
order to show it.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say
my
that
son
stagger.
wasn't quite there.
A
So
lot can
now
happen between 4 and 6.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 4 and 6 in my
Well,
life.
yes.
Yeah.
300 and let's count that up. Let's actually count that.
How
even
many years of my
more.
life were spent being 4, 5, and 6? How many days? 900. I'm bad at math. I could do it, but it's
over
gonna take me time.
1,000. Over 1,000.
10,000 Days is I bought a Tool album once called 10,000 Days, and I never bothered until afterwards to figure out how
many
long
years?
that was.
And
That's a surprisingly long time. I don't think I've lived 10,000 days yet. I'm
How
getting
long
close.
is it?
It's more than 26 years.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you
me.
that. Last time I checked in
That's
my
where I
days,
am.
I was at 9,666.
Now we're getting to the Truman Show.
Yeah,
So there we go.
but that was.
Let's
don't
go
know.
on to our final question, which
Yes.
is what is a movie that helps you through difficult times?
This movie almost became every one of these answers.
Okay.
Because it's my favorite movie for so many reasons, and it's
Mhm.
grown for me over time. And that is a movie
Oh, wait.
called.
Don't tell us. Give us some clues.
Okay.
Let's play a game.
Here's a piece of trivia that
Okay.
I don't think will help anybody, but
Oh,
it is
alright.
a story that somebody told me when I first talked about liking this movie. At the Academy Awards
Mhm.
in 90, I don't know whether it was January of 95 or if it was 94, but
Mhm.
the movie that won Best Screenplay, Tarantino won. Sorry, I'm doing this terribly. Tarantino won Best Screenplay.
Okay.
But he said, you know what? I think this movie should have won.
And it's the movie that should have won?
Yes, it's the movie that should have
Okay.
won. It's a 1994 film.
Okay.
And now I've locked myself in. So if I name the
1994,
director, it's going to be really
okay.
obvious. It has a notable appearance by Bill Murray. And he almost becomes a woman.
Oh, it's Ed Wood.
Ed Wood, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's good. That's
So
good.
what did Quentin Tarantino win for? Was that for True Romance? No. Yes? I don't know.
Was it?
Oh, Pulp Fiction? Pulp Fiction.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, my years get mixed up with those because
Right?
is Reservoir Dogs 92?
Listen, you're
Call
talking
Scott
to-
Mance.
I will get him on the
Release
phone
dates.
immediately.
We listened to Schmodown on the way over here, and that guy
Knows
just
every
just
release date ever.
anytime the concept of days marked by numbers comes up, I feel like Scott Mance just appears through a portal in the wall. It's just like movie days, because he's
sounded like him.
he's the movie Nardwuar to me, if you know.
Thank you, Randall Sands.
Pulp Fiction was
Pulp
94. There you
Fiction
go.
94.
Yeah, he apparently said that Ed Wood should have won for the screenplay.
Wow.
But yeah, that's my favorite movie, and it does help me get through tough times, because the thing is, when I get down, I listen to a lot of music. Like, music
Mhm.
is my main sort of outlet for just relating to stuff on a reliable basis. Partly because the way I live right now is so kind of fragmented, because I have a habit of overextending myself. So I have a ton of things to do all the time, and I spend a lot of time in the car, and it's hard to be like, I'm going to sit here for 2 hours and watch,
Right.
But Ed Wood has become that movie for me, where it's not just my favorite movie, but it's also a movie that, like, if I think of a day in, I can always work Ed Wood into that part of the equation.
Hmm.
That's a movie that I can always put on and feel happy about watching because there's a lot of different stuff in it, and it's like horror is my favorite genre. I have a big interest in horror movies, and while Ed Wood is not a traditional horror movie, it has those elements to it, and it's sort of told in that dialect, and so it's
Mhm.
kind of a way to keep that part of my spirit going without having to actually watch
Yes.
a horror movie, because sometimes you're not in the mood.
Yeah.
That's the common misconception about, like, if you claim a genre, everyone's like, you watch other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, yes. Most of the time, in
Uh-huh.
fact. But yeah, that movie has always gotten me through tough times, partly because I relate so much to that character in a way,
Mhm.
because Ed Wood is the guy I'm afraid of being, and like being afraid to be that guy is what keeps me from doing stuff. And so, like,
Hmm.
there's something about watching that portrayal. It's one of those Johnny Depp performances where it's a
It's so good.
performance. Like,
So good.
he's playing a guy, and it's not crazy makeup, but he's doing a character with mannerisms.
I think that was his last like good Tim Burton, Johnny Depp together.
Uh,
But I can't think of dates for certain things.
I will counter you with Sleepy Hollow, because that was what, 99 again.
Sure.
I
I
think
mean, he did a good job in that role, but I think the movie overall as a movie
I love Sleepy Hollow.
is
You're not
one I would
not a
choose.
fan?
I don't like it as much because I do like the original cartoon.
Okay,
And
all right, yeah,
I like the original. There is, gosh, well, I'm gonna really show my age here, but
it's okay.
when I was in elementary school, they used to have this. It wasn't like a TV, but it was like a thing to watch, like these like slides go by. But it wasn't like a projector. It wasn't like a slide projector. Like you wouldn't
You
do
mean like
slides.
a Viewmaster or
Not
something?
like a
Like,
ViewMaster, but it looked like a TV. It looked
okay.
like almost an Apple II computer, but like the slides would go across, and
Oh, I know
then
what you're
there would
talking
be the
about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
story
One of those.
underneath it. Yeah, not like a
They have them at the
microfiche, not a
library. Oh,
microfiche. This is a little different than that. I
if
can't.
you can name that
If you
device.
can name this device, 10 points to Hufflepuff. But so we'd like hear the story and see the slides go by, and it was just like so mesmerizing to like look at the images of Sleepy Hollow
Oh
through
yeah.
that lens, and then seeing the like Disney Sleepy Hollow version. I always enjoyed the animated one.
Yeah.
That was also paired with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride if you get the DVD now.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. I thought the visuals were stunning. I like
Mhm.
Christina Ricci. I think it was just the changes of the story that I just felt
Yeah.
like I were unnecessary. I
I
could have
can
been a
I can
shorter,
totally.
like it needed to be more of a short film to me,
Yeah, to
if that makes sense.
truly do the legend of Sleepy Hollow, I agree with you.
Right.
I think, see, the thing is, looking at Tim Burton's filmography overall, especially now, especially with all the recent films he's done, because I think the last movie of Tim Burton's I really enjoyed without much reserve was Big Fish. And then after that,
Yes,
everything's
love Big
been,
Fish.
yeah, that's a
Hmm.
terrific movie. And everything after that's been kind of problematic to me. I like Sweeney Todd a lot, but even that, I get the
Hmm.
problem. And Sleepy Hollow is one where I can totally understand you feeling that way. And for me watching it, I'm like, yeah, I know he changed a lot, because I had at least heard, I had the audiobook,
Yeah.
which was read by this woman with a great like Eastern European accent.
Hmm.
So it's like it had an extra creep factor. Um, but I thought of all the like adapted Tim Burton properties, this one felt the most genuine to me. Like the
Yeah.
changes he made, I was like, getting past them. I like what this has become in an odd way. Like, it's weird and sort of steampunky, but at the same time, I'm into this. Like, it still feels like a genuine movie to me, the way that
Right.
like Alice in Wonderland doesn't. A lot of the more recent ones don't.
Because those are
Um,
too glossy, whereas
yeah.
this is more matte.
And again, Johnny Depp, his Ichabod Crane, like, he's still playing a character.
Hmm.
And I still liked that.
It's something I probably should revisit. I probably
Mhm.
would like it more now that I've seen it before, and then I can go back and maybe watch it again and then try to not bring those bias into it as I rewatch it.
It's fair. I don't think I could necessarily talk people out of that. I feel
It's
like
all, it's hard, but it's possible.
if you can get past it, I think there's a good movie in there. But hey, I
Mhm.
mean, that's you're never gonna unknow Sleepy Hollow
Yeah.
for yourself, you know.
That tree though is pretty amazing, and that's
Yeah,
something that is unique to the movie.
the the icky bleeding tree.
But back to Ed Wood.
Back to Ed Wood, yeah. No, I've loved this movie for a long time, and on my 20th birthday, I went to the New Art and I saw like a film projection of it at midnight. It was the first thing I did on my 20th birthday. And since then, like, it's screened at the New Beverly again, and I went both nights. Like, and that movie I enjoy every single time. And that's one of
Yeah.
those sort of that's one of those like reliable standbys for me, where if I'm no matter how I'm feeling, it's a good idea to watch that movie. And there are so many different characters, and it has that heart heavy thing for me, where it's like Ed Wood
Yeah.
is kind of an odd character,
Mhm.
and he's enthusiastic, and you can tell, like, that's the thing, that's why I relate to that character, I think, because he's so chipper, but you can tell like there's a lot of struggle going on underneath there. And just what we remember him for is terrifying, because nobody wants to suck. And the thing is,
Yeah.
you have to wonder when you watch that movie, because you're like, this guy lived out his dreams. So whether or not we think Plan 9 from Outer Space or Glenn or Glenda or any of these movies are good, this guy made his movies, and
Yeah. I appreciate his hustle.
yeah, his
To get
hustle is
them
incredible.
made.
And then I sit there and I think about my own life, and I'm like, yeah, but you know what he did is he made a bunch of movies, and
Mhm.
that's the thing, is eventually you just got to do what you're doing. And so you got to do that thing that you love, that you need to do, that you feel the need to do. And that movie helps me get back in touch with that whenever I
Right.
watch it, because even if things don't work out perfectly in a number of situations, uh that drive and that vigor and that passion that Johnny Depp does bring to life in that role, really speaks to me. And the way he again, outcast, it's like he has this weird little band of outcast friends that he sort of assembles, and
Right. I
everyone's a
love
bit
that.
of a yeah, everyone's a bit of an orphan in their own way,
Mhm.
and they all come together for this, and that's kind of beautiful to me.
It is.
And then it's the production values and the black and white and the theremin score that Howard Shore put together and all that. That's just one of those movies where everything is something that I love.
Mhm.
So, and it never gets old for me.
I feel like it's the least Tim Burton film in a way.
I
Because
think
like
it's
it's not as quirky in terms of like the colors and the stylistic choices and
that's yeah, that's a good call. I think it's Tim Burton-y in a very subtle way.
yeah.
Like, it's strange, yeah, but it's not like, wow, like,
Like he's
crazy
got
design.
scissors for hands. What is
Exactly.
this?
It's not way out in your face, but at the same time, it doesn't feel misplaced. The way,
Mhm.
like, maybe if you go back and watch Planet of the Apes, you might be like, what? you know?
What happened here?
Yeah, why did this happen exactly? Why did Tim Burton need to be the guy to remake this?
Well,
But
thank
yeah,
you, John, so
thank
much
you.
for
Yeah,
joining
thank you so
me
much.
on this session of film therapy. Where can the other patients find you?
They can find me on The Real Rejects. They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Reasons to Jerry. Also at Blumhouse.com or Facebook.com/Blumhouse. I'm on the live streams there sometimes, and I run the social media there. So
What is Blumhouse?
Blumhouse proper is a production company. They have produced films like Insidious, Whiplash, Sinister, the Purge movies,
Nice.
Paranormal Activity.
That's your wheelhouse right
That is
there.
my wheelhouse right there. And then we started, basically they're branched out into all kinds of different media. So they started a website, and we kind of fill the void. If anybody ever went on FearNet, an old site called FearNet, we kind of fill that void. I like to think we're sort of like, we're not as much scoops and news and here's a poster and this guy just got cast. It's more like, here's a retrospective about a movie, and now here's a ghost story from Virginia, and now
Yeah.
here's a list of stuff. It's kind of like horror meets BuzzFeed meets one of those movie trade sites.
Nice.
In that regard, yeah.
I like it.
And now we're doing podcasts and video and all that.
As you should. This is
Ever
the
expanding
digital
tentacles.
world. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can find me every day, all day on Twitter at Miss Movies. I should probably log off of Twitter at some point, but
Never. At all
never. It's
times.
always the machine that keeps going. Want to thank Randall and Jeff for being in the chat today.
Thank you, Randall and Jeff.
And thank you all for joining us. We will see you on the next session of Film Therapy. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye, bye,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
bye,
Bye.
bye.
Bye.